Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this installment of the Hagen History Center Spring 2021 Speaker Series. I'm Jeff Sherry, Museum Educator at the Hagen History Center. Our speaker tonight is Mr. Johnny Johnson, a longtime Erie resident and historian. Mr. Johnson's presentation is entitled "A Pictorial View of Life in Erie's Black Community, an Unseen Perspective." Before I turn it over to Mr. Johnson, just a few announcements from the Hagen History Center. We are currently closed to the public due to the pandemic, but we are working to complete new exhibits in our new exhibit building, as well as those in the Watson Kersey Mansion and the Wood Morrison House on our West 6th Street campus. We plan to be open late spring, early summer, and our staff has created many blogs and videos that are available on our website at www.eriehistory.org. We encourage you to check those out regularly because they do change. Our speaker tonight is a graduate of Fort Valley State University with a bachelor's degree in education and a master's degree in curriculum and administration and health and physical education from Slippery Rock University. A native of Georgia, but he arrived in Erie in 1970 as a newly hired teacher of physical education in the Erie Public Schools, where he taught for 34 and a half years. Mr. Johnson taught at various middle and high schools in the district, as well as coaching boys basketball and girls volleyball, in addition to acting as advisor to many clubs, school organizations, and the National Honor Society. He was the first African-American to coach varsity basketball in Erie history, having coached at Tech Memorial High School. A lifelong love of history and community service has led Mr. Johnson to a study and research of African-American history in Erie and his native Georgia. As one of the founding members of the Harry T. Burleigh Society, he has participated in many historical programs throughout Pennsylvania. He also is a reenactor of historic African-American figures in Erie, such as Hamilton Waters and his grandson, Harry Burleigh, and has performed in both schools and churches. After retiring in 2004, Mr. Johnson founded the organization Helping You, Helping Me, which sponsors activities for Erie's youth. Even in his retirement, he has continued to work in schools and implemented and supervised the Road to Success mentoring program, pairing students from Erie's high schools with sixth graders at Woodrow Wilson Middle School. He has contributed to the naming of Pontiac Field, Lawrence Family Way, and Harry T. Burleigh Way, honoring Erie's African-American community. John is the author of a self-published book, Erie African-Americans in the 1880s, and republished Larry Moore's book, Erie Pontiacs, Erie's Black Baseball Team, and has contributed to articles in the Erie Times, Lake Erie Lifestyle Magazine, and the Erie Reader. He and his wife of 48 years are the proud parents of two, as well as grandparents and great-grandparents. We welcome Mr. Johnny Johnson. Johnny?
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff, for that great introduction. I'm glad to be here tonight, and as we continue to celebrate Black History Month and reveal to the public at large the contribution and ramifications of the Black presence in the history of Erie, I'm very honored to be here tonight. Many don't know about Black families and the hardship they face and proudly face in a divided and still unequal America. What I have on the screen now is a historic perspective of the Black family. I didn't want to get too deep into this, but I just want to put it out there that Black families were not the natural thing in America. So the historical perspective from the introduction of African slaves on the North American continent as property, the chief method to subjugate a people was to take away from them the social unit of any society, that of family. African slaves were taken away from their homes, their country, their families, and their language to fuel a growing economic power through free labor. To deny one of family structure and familiar roots tended to perpetuate the idea of nestedness in which you were no longer a person, but rather an object to be bought, sold, punished, and killed at the whim of slave owners. The end of the Civil War and the passage of the Civil Rights laws, which first and foremost set Africans free, the 13th and 14th Amendments, and gave them citizens' rights, was an impetus for movement and reestablishing those familiar ties as best they could. Many families were sold in all states of the Deep South, which for many free Blacks became an odyssey to find lost wives, fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters to reconnect the most important social and emotional unit, the family. 400 plus years later, this odyssey still continues, more so in establishing the emotional bond severed by slavery. What I would like to do tonight is to highlight a well-known Erie Black family whose roots are deeply embedded in Erie history. We will view the images of the Lawrence family through the eyes of Ada Lawrence, her family life from her birth, as she and her family navigated life for a Black family in Erie, PA. Remember that most Black families lived in segregated America. Okay, here we have a picture of the Lawrence family taken in the late 1920s. There is Earl Lawrence, there is his wife Belle, an unknown female, and also his daughter Ada Lawrence. So we have a pictorial view of Black family life in Erie, PA, as seen through the eyes of the Lawrence family. The Lawrence archives consists of many pictures, and a lot of those are not identifiable, but we know that they were members of the Lawrence family. In 1994, Karen James did what we call the first family project in Erie that researched the early Black families in Erie, Pennsylvania. And one of those families was the Fisher family and also the Davis family, which were outgrowth of the Lawrence family. In the upper left-hand corner is the matriarch of the Lawrence family, Emma Gertrude Lawrence. The other pictures are members of the Lawrence family. As you can see, every picture is worth 1,000 words, and every picture tells a story. Growing up in Erie, birth through adolescence. Ada was born September 21st, 1920 in Erie, Pennsylvania, on the Lower West Side. These are some of her baby pictures. And as we can see that as we look at Black families, they do the same thing as any family would do. The family unit, very important unit from birth unto death. Here we have some early pictures of Ada as a child, as a baby. So we ask ourselves, what do Black kids do in Black families? Well, they do what every other kids do. They play and they have fun. Here we have a couple of pictures of Ada in her backyard. She has toys, a doll and a teddy bear. And in my many conversations with her, she told me that the dolls that she had, she always played school with them. And that was the impetus for her to become a teacher. And as we know, she was one of the first teachers hired in the city of Erie. The other picture shows Ada with family members, and the picture at the bottom is Ada and some friends at a family outing. Here again, we have beautiful pictures of Ada sitting in her backyard. I see that she's having a lot of fun in the middle picture. And in the picture on the right-hand side, she's at the peninsula with her father, Earl Lawrence. The picture on the left is Ada graduating from Strong Vincent High School in 1939. The picture on the right is Strong Vincent Orchestra, where Ada is the lower right-hand side with the cello, I believe. I don't know what instrument that is. I'm not a musician, but that was in about 1938, 1939. Here we have pictures of Ada and her mom and dad. In the picture on the left, her mom, Belle Lawrence, her father, Earl Lawrence, and Ada herself. The picture on the right is they are at a gathering at a church, and there's Belle and also Ada. Ada finished from Benson in 1939. She attended Cheney State Teachers College in Philadelphia. And these are some college scenes. She graduated in 1944. And here are some pictures of her at Cheney State with some of her classmates and friends. The picture on the right is her graduating from Cheney State Teachers College in 1944. Okay, so were Black families involved in the Erie community? Yes, they were. And Ada being a teacher, here we have some photographs of her. I don't know all the people, but I believe one of the pictures has Dr. Barber in it. I see Kitty Fillon in one of the pictures. The other people right now are not recognizable to me, but Ada was very active in the community and especially dealing with special needs children. Black families were participants in many community social clubs and fraternity organizations. The picture on the left is a picture of most of the elite females in Erie during the 30s and 40s. They are at Ada's house. And I don't know the name of that particular group, but if you look on the left-hand side, the third person would be Ada. Directly in front of you would be her mother, Belle Lawrence. The picture on the right is a picture of the Highlight Club. And that was a club that had many of the outstanding Black females in that particular club. If we look to the front left, there's Mrs. Maisie Perdue. If we look behind her, there's Ms. Ellen Curry. And there are some people there that I can't come up with their names right now, but they were some of the most outstanding females in Erie during that time period. This is a picture of the Paul Lawrence Dunbar Club. It was founded by Ada's father, Earl Lawrence, and Earl is sitting directly in front of you, looking this way. Those are the up and moving Black males in Erie during the late 1930s, 1940s. Charles Lawrence, Earl's brother, is sitting to your right. He operated the laundry after his mom passed. A Black man participated in other organizations, and here we see two of Ada's relatives who are in their Masonic regalia. These pictures are taken from the 1930s. And I believe that the hat that the gentleman has on his head on the picture on the right is still a part of Ada's archives. So what did a Black family do on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon? What activities did they participate in? Well, like any other citizen in the city of Erie during that time period, the greatest place to go was to the peninsula. And here we see pictures of Ada and her family at the peninsula, having fun, enjoying the scenery. The picture in the middle, I think it's kind of dangerous to me because they're on a tree limb that is going out into the water, but actually, I guess, it's something that they're having fun doing, and that's what you do when you're out on the peninsula. So I mentioned to you earlier that the First Family Project denoted some of the early families in the city of Erie. And two of those families were the Fisher family and also the Davis family. And those were ancestors and relatives of Ada. And these are some of the pictures from her archives. And these pictures were taken probably in the early 1920s. If we would kind of think for a moment, at how these people are dressed, we would think, well, they're just like normal people. Well, they are normal people. And as families, uh, there was a mode of dress, and it was a dress of the day. These four ladies or five ladies are dressed very extravagantly. And most of these pictures, as you can see, were taken in Erie. And one of the things about pictures during that time period is that the scene was always set up as to how the picture was going to be taken. In the picture on the left, there is a picture that she has. The middle, there's a book, which may be the Bible. The next one is that she's holding a photograph. So these are how the scene was set for taking pictures during this time period. Here are more pictures from the Ada Lawrence collection. These are more of her relatives. Excuse me. Here again, these pictures were taken in Erie and also in Allegheny, PA. Give you an idea of how people dressed during that time period. And I guess to let you know that Black families dressed no differently than any other family during that time period. To me, this is one of the most striking pictures in the collection itself. And here again, it's taken in Erie. And these are two of Ada's relatives. I don't know their names, but as you can see, they're very distinguished people. Just an outstanding photograph for that time period. And here we have two more photographs. Here again, they're taken in Erie. I am not for sure, but I'm surmising that the picture on the right may be a picture of Ada's grandfather, John Lawrence. He worked at the Reed House, and that is how they would usually dress. So I'm just assuming that that may be a picture of John Lawrence. Here again, these are pictures from Ada's archives. These are her relatives. I believe that the gentleman on the right, last name is Davis. Here are more pictures from Ada's archives. Here again, these are pictures that were taken in Erie. These are her relatives. And this is an outstanding picture. Kind of gives an indication of what Black families did in Erie during this time period. And I'm assuming that this is an Easter program. And I was amazed at how the children was dressed. They were dressed, in my opinion, like small adults. We see the suits that the young men have on. We see the dresses and the pearls that the young ladies have. Very outstanding picture. Next is pictures of neighbors and friends. Most of these people lived in the West Bayfront area, what was called New Jerusalem. And these are children of families who lived in that area. I think that this is a great picture to give you an indication of what Black families were all about. They were a unit. They did come together and do things together. And I'm just amazed at how they are dressed. You know, everyone is dressed so that how they appear is just outstanding. Here are two other families who live in that West Bayfront area. And these pictures here again, the one on the left is from the late 1930s. The one on the right is from the late 40s and early 50s. And here again, I'm amazed at how Black families dressed during that time period. I put this picture in basically because I wanted to get some reaction, hopefully from the audience. So what type of things did Black families do? What was their mindset? Well, evidently staying healthy and exercising was a mindset among Black families. Here we can see one of Ada's relatives out in the backyard with her dumbbells, and she's exercising. So there wasn't any difference between how Black families interacted with each other or any other race of families for their concern. So I think one of the things that we need to understand and realize that there was a difference in Erie when we talk about how Black families were, even though the North was not what we call segregated, there was de facto segregation. There were things going on, there were red line and other things that hindered the growth and development of Black families in Erie. And I want to close with this quote from Carter G. Woodson. He says, if a race has no history, if it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in the danger of being exterminated. And this was a quote by Carter G. Woodson, who was the founder of Black History Week that was extended into Black History Month. All the pictures that you have seen was taken from the Lawrence Family Archives, and historical collection of pictures, artifacts, and documents maintained by Ms. Ada Louise Lawrence that tell the story of her family and other Erie families from the late 1880s. The city of Erie and Erie County will ever be indebted to the Lawrence family for maintaining this important source of Erie African-American history. Sincere thanks to the administration staff of the Hagen History Center for allowing me to present the story of an Erie African-American family during Black History Month. Okay, we are now open for audience participation, questions, or comments. If you have any questions, you may send them to my email address, which is bless112@hotmail.com.
Well, Johnny, let's leave that on the screen right now so that anyone can write that down and just send you a comment. I have a question for you that has been thinking about it a long time, actually, and your talk prompted me. And there's actually, I heard a story on NPR about a series that's coming. What is the importance of the Black church for Black families?
What is the importance of the Black church for the Black family? Well, the Black church is an institution. Just like the Black family is an institution, the Black church is an institution. The Black church and the Black family went hand in hand. Black families didn't have any other place to go but to the Black church. And most of the Black churches were on plantations. They had their own services.
Mm-hmm. So it's really the center of the community.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
We have one question that just came in. What was Zeta's occupation? I think you mentioned she was a teacher. She's the first African-American woman hired by the city of Erie. Right. But can you tell us more about Ada's career?
Ada taught what they call special needs. She began teaching in Erie in 1946 through a lot of give and take. Her father, who was a Republican at that time, very well known in the community, had to write several letters to officials, school board members, judges and mayors, etc., to even get them to consider hiring Ada as a teacher in the city of Erie. I can't show you them now, but in Ada's archives, there are letters that will let you know that Erie still wasn't too keen on hiring Black females at that time, right, especially in education.
Right. Did she suffer discrimination, any kind of problems when she started? I mean, she started pretty early.
Well,
and as you mentioned, not to interrupt, you mentioned that Erie really didn't have. I mean, the North was theoretically not segregated, but there was a de facto segregation. I mean,
Right. Now,
what kind of problems did she suffer?
well, we have to remember this. Ada's family was one of the earlier families that were in Erie. So during that time, there were not many Black families here. There was no redlining during that time or whatever, because there was no need. The Great Migration had not happened. So there was a great mixture of Blacks and whites in the communities. So Ada was part of a mixed community. Did she suffer any discrimination? Yes, just like people suffer discrimination today. But one of the things that I know from being with Ada and talking with her is that she never let things like that bother her. She came from a family who were achievers. Her grandmother, the first business person in Erie, her father who owned his own music studio and those type of things. So she had already had a foundation of who she was and where she was going already laid out for her. So was she discriminated against? Yes, she was. Did she let it hinder her? No, she didn't.
Well, that's fantastic. I had a comment from a viewer that thank you for from the audience for the wonderful photographs. They are truly not only an insight into a Black family, but an Erie family.
Definitely, definitely. And if I could add, uh, history is about everybody. It's just not about somebody, it's about everybody. And there are just as many white family pictures in Ada's archives as there are Black family pictures.
That's great. Well, Johnny, we have no other questions coming in right now, and you answered the other question I had during your talk. I want to thank you. I want to thank Johnny Johnson. I want to thank Sarah Little behind the Hagen History Center logo, our tech support, and all of you for watching online.